So it seems that IDW's new My Little Pony comic, which is based on New Generation Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale, is bringing back an old fan favorite from Friendship is Magic, which of course is Discord. That's right, Discord is showing up. The question though is, what role will he play? A lot of people are kind of worried that he might be converting back to being a villain. Some are basically saying wait and see. But apparently there's enough clues going about that we might already know basically the reasoning he's arrived. Now, Discord does look a little older, like he's a little wiser and stuff, maybe. But, you know, the question obviously is, why is he suddenly showing up? You know, why didn't he show up in Make Your Mark? Why didn't he make an appearance maybe in New Generation, the movie that started G5? No one really knows. Some could say that what we're going to get in the comics, these newer ones, because I think issue 1 just came out, and I think issue 2 is coming out, and 3 and 4 and all that are coming out very soon, because you already got the preview covers and everything, and I think issue 2 is on the verge, like I said, of coming out real soon. I think it is. I think they showed previews of it, right? Let me double check here, but they showed previews of, I think. Oops, that's the wrong one. I think they showed previews for it. Here we go. And I don't know if you're wondering why it's getting a little dark. It's kind of gotten cloudy around here. It might be too much moisture has been basically built up. But yeah, it is issue 2. Issue 2. There is a preview. Now we're not totally sure what the preview is or anything, but it definitely ends on a cliffhanger. But again, he's supposed to be showing up by at least, I guess, issue 4, the end of issue 4 into issue 5, and apparently in issue 2, according to the cover, Sonny and the crew find what looks like to be his horn, or at least it resembles his horn, or his tooth, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, he is scheduled to show up, and if I was to make a guess as to why he's here, whether he's going to be a villain or he's just, going to be the Discord that's good and everything. If I was to make a theory, a speculated theory as to why he's here, the first issue has the Pegasus crystal disappear. Out of all the 3 tribe crystals, the Pegasus one is the one that disappears. And we know that in the original Friendship is Magic, Discord was very close with Fluttershy. And what tribe, species, horse race was Fluttershy? Pegasus. So perhaps Discord knows of something that we don't, that would enable him to bring Fluttershy back. Maybe we'll find out in a future issue that he's been on a quest secretly to try to find a way to bring Fluttershy back, and maybe by extent bring Twilight and the others back as well, because maybe he feels they're the key to keep everything together. We don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what direction they go with Discord's appearance in this issue or in the series, and whether or not the reasoning maybe for him, not saying it's total fact, but the reason for him being probably being the numero uno suspect as to taking the Pegasus crystal, maybe because, like I said, he knows of a way of using such an item to possibly revive Fluttershy, bring her back, or something like that. Not totally sure. But I do want to bring up this right now about the comic, and I know some people might say, well, you don't know if this is connected or not, and I'm trying to time this correctly. But one thing I want to bring up about the comic that I think might hint us in as to what the series on Netflix is going to be like is the fact that it looks like they are gonna slowly incorporate G4 characters into the series. I think that's what they're slowly going to do. Now, some people might say that's not going to be the case because we have the character of Posey, and Posey was also in G4 and she was in G1, and I get all that. But here's the thing. They could play it off as Posey just being a name that always gets passed down throughout generations. Like one granddaughter after another ends up being named Posey, and this one just happens to be part of a current generation and incarnation of her family that got the name. That's what we can assume. But, getting back on topic, when I look at the comics and the direction they're going in with bringing in, right off the bat almost, the likes of Discord, and even having the cover of, Sunny on the front, but in the background you see Twilight, to me, it really gives off the vibe that, what we're getting in the comics might be a hint of maybe what we get in the series. Because you got to remember, the series is going to run for 26 episodes, and knowing Netflix's frame of mind, they're going to divide those 26 episodes into maybe 2 separate 13-episode seasons, or essentially 4, maybe, I guess, four separate individual seasons because of, like I said, the amount of episodes. So depending on how they showcase the series on the streaming service, there could be a chance as we get later on in the series, maybe even from the start, but mostly later on, in my opinion, we'll start seeing little elements here and there of potentially what could be a true connection between G5 and G4, because remember, the promotion is G5 is directly a continuation, time forward wise, of G4, and there's too many hints and everything, in the Make Your Mark special. There's many hints in the movie that connection is a fact. That connection is a fact. So when I look at what the comics are doing here, and within the first 5 or so issues, it really kind of makes you wonder and speculate if that is going to be a driving force as well in the series in September. Because I can tell you right now, if that is a driving force, if that is like one of the main things they tackle in the series starting in September, whether it runs for 2 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever, because of how Netflix likes to divide all the the entire one season into multiple seasons and everything. If that is one of the directions and decisions they make to tackle in the series, basically not only heavily referencing G4 and its characters and its world, but also bringing in the likes of a Discord, just like the comics doing. I can tell you honestly, there's going to be a lot of fans that are unsure about G5 still, like let's say Josh Scorcher, aka Firebrand, that'll be like, okay, maybe this does have something that I can get into, and someone like Josh Scorcher could be like, hey, I'm going to check it out now, see what they're going to bring to the table. But that's totally up in the air right now. That's totally up in the air. I mean, let's not forget, Netflix is trying to get away from wokeness and everything, so hopefully, that doesn't affect, the future of Make Your Mark. I don't think it will, but hopefully maybe what happens is Netflix steps in and says, hey, we understand that we originally wanted you to have this be about the series, or we were cool with this being about the series, but can you kind of tone it down a little bit or something? And that might be what happens. Who knows? That might be what happens, and that might be the reason why we might get 2, maybe 4 seasons divided between one whole season. But like I said, getting back on topic, the thing is with this revelation that Discord's in the comics, so soon, and the possibility of him being the one that took the Pegasus crystal, maybe because, like I said, he figures, that's one way of getting Fluttershy back or something, is really interesting and intriguing. But as we go into Make Your Mark, and we got this villainous, Alicorn, who many are speculating either is an OG creation, either she's a corrupted Fluttershy or Twilight or whoever. You know, it's going to be interesting what role Discord, if he shows up in the animated series, will play going up against, if he sides with Sunny and her friends, what role he will play in going up against this villainous Alicorn, and maybe he knows who the villainous Alicorn is. You know, only time will tell. But like I said, when you look at what they're doing with IDW, that to me gives off the vibes that maybe we're going to get something similar in Make Your Mark. Now I know some people will say, well, that's not entirely true, because when you go back and read the Friendship is Magic comics and you watch the animated series, there was no real connection between both sides. And that is true. There was no real connection. Except for a few issues here and there, there was no other real connection. You know, outside, I should say, of the season 10 comics, which was a continuation of the animated series to an extent. But besides that, there was no like real connection, but you know, here and there between the two versions of FIM, with the exception of a few references in the comic about certain moments from the animated show and vice versa. Anyway, getting back on, you know, the train, getting back on the tracks here, I should say. You know, the thing is though, this is entirely different. This is a new MLP comic that does have connections to the original comic, just like, you know, Make Your Mark is going to have connections to Friendship is Magic. So, you know, they could go the same route they did, separating the two, keeping them in their own kind of different continuities. But in this case, I think if they really want to expand on the world, they might, you know, be using the comics to give us an idea of what, you know, the show is going to be like. I mean, remember this. Back in the 90s, early 90s, when Archie Comics did the Sonic comics, we had no idea, you know, what the animated shows that were, you know, talked about that were going to become a reality. We had no idea what either one of them was going to be about. And then we read the Archie comics and we see all these other characters. You know, we had no idea that was giving us an idea, or giving us a clue, a hint, I should say, that one of those shows, mostly Sonic SatAM, the one on ABC, was going to have those characters, and it did. But we didn't know that then. You know, we didn't know that, you know, that was giving us a clue of, hey, these characters in this comic are going to show up in that show. We had no clue until the show happened. So who's to say IDW's not doing the same thing here? That Hasbro's not having IDW do the same thing here to what we're getting in the comic right now, because it's being released earlier, you know, months, I should say, way earlier than the series is meant to debut. You know, who's to say what we're getting in the comic right now isn't a hint or a clue as to what we're getting in the series? I mean, we don't know exactly, you know, the reasoning for what happened. Well, we kind of do know what happened. I take that back. We kind of do know what happened in Make Your Mark, which caused everything to go cuckoo for a bit. And we kind of have an idea of who is behind it, or do we? And that could be where the comics, you know, come into play, because they could be giving us hint of, you know, what happened in Maritime Bay, you know, in Make Your Mark. You know, the comics could be saying, here's an idea of who may be behind it, and maybe, like I said, the show follows through on it. That would be interesting. That would be something to, like I say, look forward to, and really, you know, capture the interest and re-interest of a lot of fans that are not sure about G5 as we speak. Like I said, Josh Scorcher is one of them that's like, you know, I'm not sure about this, I don't like this and everything, but I'm guessing, in my opinion, if someone like Josh sees what's going on now in the comics, and then kind of feels like that could be interpreted later on into the series, I think that might bring him back on board. Not saying it will, but like I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens in time. But it is interesting. It is interesting that, well, about 5 issues into the new comic, and you got Discord showing up. You got, you know, hints and clues, you know, covers basically hinting at the fact that this is going to really help connect, you know, both generations, into one. And it might also give off the vibes that, what we're reading in the comics and what we kind of got a taste of in Make Your Mark. We'll probably be getting we'll probably be getting, I should say, more than likely, I could be wrong, but more than likely we could be getting this stuff, more of it, in the series. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about the fact that we're getting not only Discord, this early into the IDW run of the new comic, as well as hints and clues and connections to the past generation, like with Twilight. But what do you think Discord's motives are? Do you think he's the one that stole the Pegasus crystal and wants to try to use it to bring back Fluttershy? Maybe he's, like I said, he's figured out something that can let him do that. And do you think what we're getting here and what we got a taste of in Make Your Mark, we could end up seeing in the series as a whole? Like what we're seeing in the comics is a hint of what we could see in the series, and what we got a taste of in Make Your Mark, we could see fully, I should say, in the series when it debuts in September. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Live chat during the premiere. Super thanks will be enabled after the premiere. Live chat, of course. We'll have super chats and super stickers open if you guys want to do that. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. And until then, I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. And I'm out.